Next week, I do a Bobby Ewing, come out of the shower, at which point it's revealed that the last 18 months was a dream and never happened. It's brilliant.
So who is to blame?
Well, look, we supported the government through this crisis, because let's face it, we didn't have any ideas of our own. It was partly our freeing up the city that got us into this mess in the first place. But now we thought, oh, golly, we need to start scoring some points out of this, so better start blaming Gordon again. And it takes us back to our roots. You know, we've always blamed Labour.
That's completely wrong.
Really? I mean, David Cameron has no idea.
He does have an idea. He likes marriage. He approves of that. Now, that could be a vote catcher.
No, but that's the problem, Mary. He likes marriage so much. He's always slobbering all over his hideous wife. It's repulsive. What's her name? Tabitha or something?
Samantha.
Oh, well, I mean, that is the problem, you know. You think they're going to rip each other's clothes off, and any minute they're going to kind of get down with the Congress of the Duck or something.
Please,
it makes me think like that with the
please
children. I mean, Samantha, Jesus Christ.
No, all I'm saying is that not having an ideas can be a huge benefit.
Did you know that you can buy a pencil case in her shop, this Tabitha Samantha creature, that costs £7,000?
Yes.
Did you read that?
A pencil case, yeah?
Does it have pencils in it?
No, you buy your own pencils.
I'm sorry, honestly, I'm trying to make a very important point.
Yeah, sorry, come on.
Oh, hurry it up, sweetie, we're all dying.
No. The great advantage of David Cameron not having any ideas is that if he did, they'd be more than likely completely the wrong ones, and then he'd have to get some more.
But surely, I mean, he should at least give us some sense of how you deal with, you know, the credit crunch.
No, that would be absolutely fatal. Yeah. Because then it will be clear to everyone that he hasn't got the faintest idea how to deal with it.
You see, here's the thing. He does have an idea, because he agreed with Gordon Brown, whatever it was, 3 weeks ago, because 3 weeks ago, Gordon Brown saved the world, didn't he?
No. Gordon Brown's a complete and utter prat. Everybody's agreed about that.
No, that was 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago now. And then, you know, something happened. I think it was a Tuesday. And Gordon Brown became the wisest leader in Europe.
No, the wisest leader in the world.
Was it the world? It was the world.
I don't think it was a Tuesday.
No, I agree. Possibly been a Tuesday because it's my Pilates class and I would have remembered.
No, it was a Wednesday.
No, because he was a complete prat again come Wednesday.
That's right.
But he was the wisest leader in the world for nearly a week.
Yes, well, you see, and that was when David Cameron agreed with him, because, I mean, let's face it, if somebody is the wisest leader in the world and you don't agree with them, then you're just going to look like
a
stupid.
It must have been a Monday, because by Thursday Cameron was saying it's all Gordon Brown's fault, the whole thing, and everybody agreed with that.
The point there was that when we were staring into the abyss, we all had to pull together.
Yeah.
But as soon as the abyss eased off a bit, then he could go back to attacking
Gordon Brown.
Politicians are all saying this, and the implication is that party politics is completely irrelevant if the situation is serious. The only time we can have party politics is when it doesn't matter. It doesn't say much for our political system.
No, but I mean, the point surely is that it would be disastrous if David Cameron had an idea, especially about the financial situation. What he's got to do is to behave as though somehow, I mean, don't ask me how, at some unspecified time in the future, he might possibly have an idea.
It's the obvious tactic, isn't it, for the Conservatives? They keep completely quiet and let Labour throttle themselves. But the odd thing was that, if you remember, in 1997, Tony Blair, he was saying, this Conservative government is completely discredited, and by the way, we're going to keep its policies for the first 2 years. And now Cameron is saying exactly the same thing about Labour.
Yes. That's what I don't understand. Why don't they just stick with that? Why don't they just stick with the policies for the 4 years?
Well, the whole 4 years.
Yeah, for the whole 4 years.
No, well, at least there'd be a bit of a virtue and some consistency.
That's right. And, you know, all that would happen would be the usual. You know, that whoever becomes Prime Minister, I mean, at first they're insanely popular, and then somewhere along along the line, they become a complete arsehole. Yeah. And then they just swap over.
And just swap over. The same policies.
Absolutely, and then you wouldn't have the arguments about the same policies because it would be all the same.
Just exactly.
So, who do you turn to for advice in this situation? George Soros? Warren Buffett? Even now, there's a tribe in Papua New Guinea who worship Vince Cable. But what about the IMF? Here's what their chief economist, Simon Johnson, said at the G7 meeting last spring. Obviously, there are some particular concerns about whether hedge funds are taking extremely large leveraged bets, but we don't see anything in this current situation that would merit a heavy-handed, big increase in regulation of any kind. And here's what his boss said this September. It's because there were no regulations or controls, or not enough regulations or controls, that this situation was born.
You know, what gets me is the ingratitude. I spent 10 years doing what they wanted, tickling their tummy, dancing to their tune, going to their dinners, laughing at their jokes, flattering them, and when they make a catastrophic arse of it, they blame me for letting them do it.
Well, that's the kind of role we play. You vote us in, and then you blame us for everything. You don't think of blaming yourself for electing us. Just imagine what would happen if we did everything right. How bad would that make you feel about yourselves?
It was like a financial Titanic. If the captain had ordered everyone onto the lifeboats before he'd even hit the iceberg, they'd have thought he was bonkers. It was only by ramming into the iceberg that he was able to reveal just how big the problems were.
I was not to blame. You have to remember that. See, I presided over the greatest period of economic growth this country has ever seen. Don't forget, when I came in, we had a $128 million surplus. Next year, we're looking at a $490 billion deficit. Yeah, that's some legacy. You know, governments can only do so much. And a lot of good things happened unto me. Well, let's just say I didn't get many complaints. But the trouble is, you get the banks to do something, and they'll find a way to make money out of it. A lot of money. So what started out as a good idea bites you in the butt. I know folks say that when I pushed for loans to be extended, I was opening a can of worms. But let me tell you, I knew exactly what I was doing. I was coming to the end of my term. I couldn't serve again, so I had to make sure I'd laid the foundations for the next few years. So I repealed the Glass-Steagall Act and take the firewall down between the gamblers in Wall Street and the savers on Main Street and let the markets do the rest. 8 years later, George Bush is sitting on the biggest economic crisis since the Depression. And along comes Hillary to take over. That's where it went wrong.
The extraordinary thing was we actually believed that things were under control.
I was actually an even better actor than Tony Blair, although you didn't realise it. And that's real acting, you know, when you can't even tell that it is acting. That's the quality stuff. You know, I was like De Niro to Tony's Harold Bishop from Neighbours. Every day I'd sit there knowing what was happening and yet somehow managed to keep a straight face. That took real skill. Yeah, I wanted to laugh. You know, believe me, there were days when I could hardly stop myself. But I knew it was essential I came across as frugal and penny-pinching and dour. And Scottish. That's not a criticism. Oh, apparently it is. Even though in reality I was being anything but frugal. The pennies I was pinching were from you, through stealth taxes, and I'm not as dour as people think. I've been having smiling lessons. Look, I can nearly do it convincingly.
And just about the only thing he's got going for him are the Tories.
And so, to the city, I say this. Your behaviour is unacceptable. The era of fat cat pay and big city bonuses has to end. How are Barbara and the kids?
For years, public and politicians alike have allowed themselves to be hypnotised by the markets. We know it's a trick. Why do we fall for it?
Well, you've only got to watch the news every night to see the city's got its own advert in the middle of the news. They tell you what's happened to the share prices. You know, here's the FTSE, that's what the Dow's up to. All that just goes to show we're all meant to be enthralled to this industry. Oh, but really, it's just the biggest special interest group there is.
Well, look, I personally don't have a problem with the workers controlling the means of production, as long as they all work for a bank.
Politicians maintain that jobs depend on the city, especially theirs. We salute the men who served their country first, and then went on to serve